Welcome back to the Deep Dive.
Great to be here.
Today, we are really getting into a piece of American literature that just sticks with you. John Steinbeck's Of Mice and Men.
It's short, but wow, does it pack a punch.
It really does. So our mission today is to, peel back those layers, look at the big themes, the characters, why it still feels so relevant. We're using the full text provided, starting right at the beginning.
Exactly. And it's not just about hitting the plot points you might remember from school. It's about digging into why it resonates. These experiences, hope, loneliness, that dream, they're universal, right? And Steinbeck just captures them so powerfully.
He really does. Okay, let's dive right in. Segment 1. That lonesome road and the shared dream. George and Lennie's arrival. Steinbeck starts us off by the Salinas River. And this setting, it's not just pretty scenery, is it? It feels loaded.
Oh, absolutely. It's fascinating how he does that. You get this beautiful, peaceful imagery, the deep green water, the golden hills, the willows, sycamores. It sounds idyllic.
Right. Warm water, crisp leaves.
But then, almost immediately, you see these little signs of, well, human hardship, the debris of the winter's flooding, the ash piles from campfires.
And that path, beaten hard.
Yes, beaten hard by boys and tramps. It tells you right away this is a place people pass through, people who don't have a permanent home, migrant workers. It signals that transient, hard-scrabble life.
And even the animals seem wary. The lizards skittering away, the rabbits hurrying off noiselessly, like they know something's coming.
It sets up this feeling of fragile peace, almost holding its breath before George and Lennie arrive and, disrupt things. It's both calm and tense.
Okay, so into this scene walk George and Lennie.
Yeah.
And the contrast is immediate. It just hits you.
It really does. Steinbeck paints such a clear picture, George. Small and quick, dark of face, with restless eyes and sharp, strong features. He seems alert, maybe a bit wary.
Thinking all the time.
Exactly. And then Lennie is his opposite. Just this huge man, shapeless of face with large pale eyes, and the way he walks.
Like a bear, dragging his paws.
Yeah, that animal imagery Steinbeck uses for Lennie the bear, the horse, it's constant.
Yeah.
It emphasizes his incredible strength, but also this lack of control, this sort of childlike innocence combined with physical power.
In their first interaction, right there at the pool.
Yeah.
It basically tells you everything you need to know about them.
It does. Lennie just throws himself down, drinks like a horse, snorting into the water. No thought, just impulse.
And George immediately snaps at him. Nervous, responsible.
Has to shake him to get his attention, right? It shows Lennie's impulsiveness and George's role, the weary caretaker. And then Lennie imitates George, sits the same way, looking for approval. Shows that deep dependence.
And the forgetfulness, that comes up right away, too. It's such a key part of Lennie and George's, burden.
Oh, yeah, he forgets where they're going. George has to keep reminding him. So you forgot that already, did you? You can hear the exasperation.
But he remembers the rabbits.
That's the thing. Amidst all the forgetting, that sticks. I remember about the rabbits, George. It's almost obsessive, his focus on soft things, which, is crucial.
We see that with the mouse, right? The dead mouse he's hiding.
Exactly. Wants to pet it, but pets it too hard. It's that innocent, but ultimately destructive impulse laid bare right at the start.
Which connects directly to the trouble back in Weed. Steinbeck doesn't wait long to give us these ominous hints. We start to understand why George is so protective.
Right. You get the sense they're running from something. George doesn't want to talk about what you've done in Weed, but Lennie blurts it out. They run us out of Weed.
Though George corrects him, we run. They weren't caught.
But the threat was real. We find out later it was about Lennie wanting to touch a girl's soft red dress, her screaming, him holding on tighter because he panicked.
Leading to a lynch mob forming.
Yeah. So this isn't their first time fleeing. It establishes their fugitive status, the constant danger Lennie poses, and why George is always watching, always trying to manage him. It's a heavy weight.
And yet, despite all that trouble, all that weight, they have this dream. The farm, the rabbits. It's like their North Star.
It absolutely is. It's the core of their bond, what keeps them moving. George tells it like a story, a ritual. Lennie begs for it.
Tell me like you've done before.
And the details. A little house and a couple of acres, a cow, pigs, chickens, living off the fat of the land. And the most important part for Lennie.
Tending the rabbits.
That's his anger. His delight when George gets to that part is so pure. It's the one piece of the future he can grasp and hold on to, unlike everything else he forgets.
So it's more than just a nice story they tell each other. It's real hope. It stops them from being like those other lonely guys George talks about.
Exactly. For Lennie, it's almost tangible. comforting for George. It's the reason to put up with everything, the reason to keep Lennie safe, to keep working these awful jobs. It's his anchor, too, even if he sometimes resents the burden.
It's their version of the American dream, really, boiled down.
Absolutely. That desire for independence, a place of your own belonging, where nobody could can us. It's what makes them different in their own minds from the other ranch hands who have nothing to look ahead to.
And then George gives that instruction if Lennie gets in trouble again.
Hide in the brush. Right by the river where they started. It's chilling looking back. That place of peace is marked right from the beginning as the place where trouble will end. Ties it all together.
Wow. Okay, so they leave the river, they arrive at the ranch. Segment 2, the ranch itself.
Yeah.
A microcosm of society, you could say.
Definitely. And the bunkhouse, their new home, it immediately tells you what kind of place this is.
Spartan is putting it mildly.
Right. Long rectangular building, whitewashed walls, bare floor, 8 bunks, apple boxes for shelves, just the basics.
And the immediate worry about bugs, lice, roaches.
Yeah, George finds that can of lice killer left by the last guy, Whitey, who was apparently super clean but still had pests. It just reinforces the rough, unhygienic reality of these workers' lives. It's grim, not welcoming at all.
And this grim place is filled with characters who really embody the harshness of the time. Let's meet the inhabitants.
Okay, first up is the boss. Seems okay, George says. Pretty nice fella, but clearly has a temper.
Brings whiskey at Christmas, which is something, I guess.
Yeah, but he also gives crooks, the stable buck, hell. So generosity mixed with prejudice. And he's immediately suspicious of George and Lennie traveling together.
What stake you got in this guy?
Exactly. Which forces George into that lie about Lennie being his cousin, kicked in the head by a horse. The boss wears high-heeled boots, too, a status symbol. He's not one of them.
Then there's Candy, the old swamper. He feels vulnerable from the moment we meet him.
Totally. Old, stooped, missing a hand, lost it right there on the ranch. And his dog.
That ancient sheepdog. Blind, smelly, but clearly his only real companion.
And Candy lives in constant fear. Fear of being fired because he's old and disabled. What happens then? They'll put me on the county. The poorhouse. He represents that fear of being discarded.
Then we get Curly, the boss's son. He walks in looking for trouble.
Oh, instantly. Small guy, pugnacious, clearly got a chip on his shoulder, wears high-heeled boots like his dad, trying to look bigger.
A boxer, too. Likes to pick fights, especially with big guys like Lennie.
Textbook Napoleon complex. And that detail about his glove? Full of Vaseline.
Yeah, to keep his hands soft for his wife. It's weirdly unsettling. Speaks volumes about his possessiveness and vanity.
It really does.
And speaking of his wife, Curly's wife, she's maybe the most misunderstood, tragic figure here. The men just discuss her.
They really do. She shows up, all made up, full rouged lips, fancy hair, red shoes with ostrich feathers. She definitely stands out.
Always looking for Curly, but the men see it differently.
Yeah, they say she's got the eye, flirting. They call her a tramp, a tart. George immediately pegs her as danger, jail bait, especially for Lennie. He warns Lennie fiercely, "Don't you even take a look at that bitch."
She's completely isolated by their judgment, seen only as trouble.
But then there's Slim. He's different. There's a kind of dignity about him. Oh, completely. Slim, the jerk-line Skinner. Steinbeck describes him with majesty, gravity. When he speaks, people listen. He's the prince of the ranch.
Has this quiet authority, not based on being the boss's son or being aggressive.
Exactly. It comes from his character, his understanding. His ear heard more than was said. And he gets George and Lennie. He finds their bond unusual, but accepts it. His line, "Maybe everybody in the whole damn world is scared of each other," is so profound, it cuts right to the heart of the book's loneliness.
He really sees things. Okay, who else? Carlson and Crooks.
Carlson. Big guy, very practical, almost bluntly unsympathetic, especially about Candy's dog. He just wants the dog gone because it smells and it's suffering. No sentimentality there.
Just shoot it and get it over with.
Pretty much. And then Crooks, the stable buck, the only black man on the ranch. Totally isolated.
Live separately, right? In the harness room?
Yeah, a little shed off the barn. Because he's black. They say I stink, he tells Lennie later. But he's proud, intelligent. He has books, a dictionary, a copy of the California Civil Code, gold-rimmed spectacles.
So an intellectual side completely ignored because of his race. And he's got that crooked spine, too, another layer of vulnerability.
Right. So you have this collection of people all isolated in their own ways by age, disability, race, gender, or just circumstance. How do they cope? How do they find connection or a seat power in this place.
That seems to be the key question Steinbeck is exploring here.
It really is. Curly uses aggression. His wife uses her perceived sexuality and her connection to Curly, especially against Crooks, which is brutal.
Turning her own powerlessness against someone even lower on the ladder?
Exactly. Crooks tries to maintain dignity through his space and his books, initially pushing people away before revealing his desperate loneliness. Candy clings to his dog, then the dream. Slim offers quiet understanding, but mostly it's a landscape of failed connections where prejudice dictates who has power over whom, often pushing people further apart. Real belonging is incredibly rare here.
Which makes George and Lennie's bond, however complicated, seem even more remarkable. And we see just how deep it runs in the next part when George opens up to Slim.
Yeah, that's a really important moment. Segment 3, Whispers of Hope and the Crushing Weight of Reality. It starts with Slim recognizing how unusual their bond is.
Funny how you and him string along together, because most guys are loners.
Right. And that prompts George to confess things he probably wouldn't tell anyone else. About how he used to mess with Lennie, play cruel jokes because Lennie would do anything he said.
Like making him jump in the Sacramento River.
Yeah. And Lennie almost drowned, but he was still so grateful to George for pulling him out, completely forgetting George told him to jump in. George says he felt goddamn smart playing jokes, but after that river incident, he stopped. It shows his regret, his affection beneath the frustration. It clarifies that his protection isn't just duty, it's rooted in care.
And he emphasizes Lennie's nature. He ain't mean.
Not a mean bone in his body, it just doesn't understand his own strength. And this is where George tells Slim the full story about weed.
The girl in the red dress. His need to touch soft things.
Her screaming, him panicking and holding on tighter, George hitting him to make him let go, the accusation of rape, the lynch mob. It solidifies why George is constantly on edge, constantly protecting Lennie from a world that won't understand and from himself.
Slim gets it, though. He ain't mean, Slim repeats. I can tell a mean guy a mile off.
Slim's validation matters, and George admits without Lennie, he'd be just like the other guys, lonely and mean. Their companionship is their shield against that isolation.
But then, that shield gets tested. We see the end of one life paving the way, strangely, for a new hope. The scene with Candy's dog. It's brutal.
It's devastating. Carlson just hammers away at Candy. The dog's old, it stinks, it's suffering, it's no good to itself. Pure pragmatism.
While Candy's just clinging to this last companion he's had ever since he was a pup, the pain is palpable.
And Slim, the voice of reason, ultimately sides with Carlson. Quietly gives permission. I wish somebody'd shoot me if I got old and a cripple. It's like he seals the dog's fate. And that gunshot, the silence afterwards in the bunkhouse, it's heavy.
You feel the loss. And Candy's immediate regret, I ought to have shot that dog myself. It mirrors his own fear, doesn't it?
Absolutely. He sees his own future in his dog's death. Getting old, useless, canned, put out on the county. Losing the dog is like losing the last symbol of his own worth, his past.
But then, in that moment of despair, he overhears George and Lennie talking about the dream.
And it's like a light switches on. He hears about the little farm, the independence, the rabbits, and he sees a way out. He offers them his life savings.
$350, a fortune for them.
It makes the dream suddenly unbelievably real. Candy offers to work, leave them his share in his will. He just wants a place to belong, to not be discarded.
And George's reaction. Disbelief and wonder. You can feel the shift. It's not just talk anymore.
No, suddenly it's possible. They start planning details, the windmill, the smokehouse, the garden, a place where they answer to nobody. It's this incredible surge of hope born directly from the ashes of Candy's loss. A shared communal dream now.
They agree to keep it secret, this fragile new possibility.
But fragile is the word, because the reality is the ranch, the prejudices, they keep intruding. Which brings us to that incredibly tense scene in Crooks's room.
Right. Crook's space, his little sanctuary in the harness room, it says so much about him.
It really does. It's neat, organized. He has his books, his liniment, his dictionary, the civil code, signs of intelligence, pride, an attempt to create order in his forced isolation.
And Lennie just wanders in, innocently breaking the unspoken rule. He just wants to see his puppy.
And Crooks is immediately defensive. You got no right to come in my room. He spells out the racial segregation. 'Cause I'm black. He pushes back hard at first.
But Lennie's just... Lennie, disarming, doesn't understand the rules.
And slowly, Crooks lets his guard down. He even lets Lennie sit. And then he starts talking about loneliness.
It's raw. He torments Lennie a bit, asking what if George doesn't come back.
But it's not just cruelty, it's him projecting his own agony. A guy needs somebody to be near him. A guy goes nuts if he ain't got nobody. He talks about how being alone makes you sick. You feel his years of enforced solitude.
And he's deeply cynical about their dream farm. He's seen it all before.
Just like heaven, everybody wants a little piece of land. Nobody never gets to heaven and nobody gets no land. It's the voice of bitter experience. But then Candy comes in, talks about the money they have.
And Crooks? He tentatively asks if they might need another hand. Just for his keep. A flicker of hope, even for him.
Just a tiny crack in his cynical armor. It's a fragile moment of potential connection between these marginalized men, the old, the disabled, the intellectually disabled, the black man.
And then Curly's wife shows up and shatters it all.
Instantly, she stands in the doorway, sizing them up. They left all the weak ones here, she says. She's lonely too, desperate for attention, even from them.
Starts talking about her own lost dreams, Hollywood, pictures, how she could have been somebody.
Stuck just like them, but masking it with bravado. But when Crooks tries to stand up to her, tells her to leave, the shift is terrifying.
That's when the power dynamics get really ugly.
She lashes out with pure, venomous racism.
Listen, nigger, I could get you strung up on a tree so easy it ain't even funny.
Just like that. Crushes him.
He visibly shrinks back, reduced himself to nothing. Her powerlessness finds an outlet in asserting power over the only person lower than her on the ranch's social ladder. Candy tries to defend their dream, but her threat hangs in the air.
And Crooks immediately retreats. Says he was just fooling about wanting to join them. The hope is gone.
It's a devastating moment. It shows how prejudice poisons everything, how easily hope can be extinguished, especially for someone like Crooks who has been conditioned by society to expect nothing. It's a brutal look at the intersecting hierarchies of the time.
Just gutting. Okay, so that hope, already fragile, takes another hit, which leads us inevitably to the final segment, the tragedy and its aftermath.
Yeah, things unravel quickly now. It starts again with Lennie and his inability to control his strength. In the barn.
With the puppy. Right. He was petting it, maybe bounced it too hard, and it's dead. His first thought isn't sadness for the puppy, it's fear. Now maybe George ain't gonna let me tend no rabbits. The dream is always paramount.
It shows that pattern again. The mice, now the puppy. Innocent impulse, fatal result.
Exactly. And then into this scene of Lennie's fear and confusion walks Curly's wife. Again.
Still looking for someone to talk to.
Lonely. She finds Lennie, calls him a kind of nice fella, just like a big baby. She lets her guard down, talks about her own dreams, her disappointments, how soft her hair is.
And Lennie, fixated on soft things.
He asks to feel her hair. She lets him, at first, but then he holds on too tight, stroked harder. She panics, tries to pull away, starts to yell.
Which panics Lennie. He doesn't want her to yell, doesn't want to get in trouble with George.
So he puts his hand over her mouth to silence her, shakes her. And in his panic and strength, he breaks her neck. Accidentally.
Don't know about thing. He knows instantly.
It's the culmination of everything foreshadowed. His strength, his fixation, his panic when things go wrong, Curly's wife's own tragic loneliness bringing her there. He feels horribly inevitable. Steinbeck even notes how peaceful she looks in death, the meanness and the plannings and the discontent gone from her face. Like she's finally free, in a way.
But her death destroys everything for the living. Candy finds her first.
And his reaction says it all. Oh, Jesus Christ. He knows immediately what this means. The dream is dead. Gone. His future just collapsed.
When George sees her, he seems almost resigned.
Yeah. There's shock, but underneath it, this awful sense of inevitability. I think I knowed from the very first, he tells Candy. I think I knowed we'd never do her. Like he always suspected it was too good to be true.
And he spells out his own future now, back to being alone, blowing his pay in town, no home, no connection. The exact life the dream was meant to save him from.
It's heartbreaking. And even then, his mind is working, tells Candy how to announce the discovery so George isn't implicated immediately. Still protecting, in a way.
And Candy just lashes out at her body, blaming her. You goddamn tramp.
It's pure grief and despair. And then he starts mourning the dream itself, listing all the details they'd planned, the stove, the rain, the circus. It's the sound of hope dying.
It makes you ask, like you said before, was the dream just a cruel illusion? Or was it necessary, even if doomed?
For them, it felt necessary. The alternative was unbearable. Its loss leaves a complete void.
And now George faces the ultimate awful choice. Curly finds out, and all hell breaks loose.
Curly's reaction is pure rage and vengeance. I'm gonna get him. I'll kill the big son of a bitch myself.
Carlson grabs his gun, eager for the hunt. It becomes a lynch mob, essentially.
But Slim understands. He knows Lennie didn't mean it.
Slim gets it. He recalls Weed. He knows Honey isn't malicious, but he also knows what Curly will do if he catches Lennie. He suggests they get him, but implies it should be handled differently, more mercifully than letting Curly torture him. George knows what has to happen. You see him dragging his feet, making weak protests.
He knows Lennie wouldn't survive being caught, not by Curly. Meanwhile, Lennie's back at the safe place, by the river, just like George told him.
And he's hallucinating. Aunt Clara, a giant rabbit.
Both telling him off, saying he's a burden, that George is going to leave him, amplifying all his deepest fears.
Until George finds him, and Lennie just needs reassurance. Needs the dream.
Tell me like you done before, it's all he wants. And George, his voice is flat at first, wooden, then it warms up as he goes through the motions one last time, painting that picture of their farm, their future.
While pulling Carlson's gun from his pocket.
It's an act of profound, terrible love, giving Lennie that final comfort, letting him giggle with happiness about the rabbits, about how they got each other right before the end.
And then the shot, it's just devastating. But also, maybe, merciful.
That's the unbearable paradox, isn't it? George's hand shakes, but then it steadies. He does it quickly, mercifully in the back of the head, just like Carlson did with Candy's dog. The parallel is intentional, horrifying. It's killing his companion to save him from a worse fate at the hands of the mob.
George just shivers afterwards, drops the gun.
And Slim, again, is the only one who truly understands the depth of what just happened. Never you mind, he tells George. A guy got to sometimes. He leads George away, offering comfort.
While Carlson and Curly just don't get it. Now what the hell you suppose is eating them two guys?
They see the act, but not the emotion, not the sacrifice. It highlights that gap between the harsh pragmatism of their world and the complex, painful humanity of George's choice. They just can't comprehend it.
Wow. What a story. What an ending. Just leaves you breathless, really.
It absolutely does. This deep dive, I think, really shows how Steinbeck uses this simple, tragic story to explore huge themes. The allure and maybe the impossibility of the American dream for some, the crushing weight of loneliness, the deep need for companionship.
And the brutal realities of prejudice based on race, age, disability, gender. It's all there.
And how those simple dreams, like the farm, become these vital anchors, even if they're fragile. And ultimately, how love and responsibility can lead to the most difficult, heart-wrenching choices. Sometimes the most compassionate act is the hardest one.
So it leaves you thinking, what does it really mean to protect someone you love? Especially when they pose a danger, maybe unknowingly. And in a world that feels like it offers so little real belonging, what's the true cost and the real value of just having that shared hope, even if it doesn't last?
Heavy questions, but Ones of Mice and Men forces us to confront.
Definitely something to mull over. Thank you for that incredible exploration.
Thank you. It's always powerful to revisit this one.
Subscribe to the Timeless Tales podcast. Your stories, your time.